I found the empty pill bottle in the bathroom trash. The orange prescription container that had held my anxiety medication, now drained into the toilet. Mom stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "Stop being dramatic," she said when she saw my expression. "You don't need those pills. It's all in your head." She actually laughed. Not a nervous laugh, a dismissive one. I'd been taking the medication for 3 years, prescribed by a psychiatrist after panic attacks had landed me in the emergency room twice. The medication worked. It helped me function, work, and maintain relationships. My doctor had been clear. Don't stop abruptly. The withdrawal could be dangerous. "Mom, I need those. They're prescribed medication." Prescribed by some quack who just wants your money. "You're fine. You've always been fine. You just need to toughen up." I picked up the empty bottle. A week's worth of medication. Gone. The pharmacy wouldn't refill it early. Insurance wouldn't cover it. I'd have to pay out of pocket or go without until the refill date. "This is dangerous," I said quietly. "You can't just stop these medications suddenly." "Oh, please, stop being so dramatic. It's just anxiety. Everyone gets nervous sometimes. You don't need drugs for that." I looked at her, my mother, who'd been a nurse at Metropolitan Hospital for 23 years, who understood medication, dosing, and withdrawal symptoms, who chose to flush mine anyway because she didn't believe mental health conditions were real. I didn't argue further. I just left silently, drove to the pharmacy, and paid $240 out of pocket for an emergency refill. The pharmacist was understanding when I explained what happened. She'd seen it before. That was 3 months ago. I haven't been back to my mother's house since. The distance wasn't new. Mom had been dismissing my mental health struggles since I was 16. When I had my first panic attack during a high school exam, she told me I was being overdramatic. When I couldn't sleep for weeks due to anxiety in college, she said I was lazy and making excuses. When I finally sought professional help at 24 and was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, she refused to believe it. "There's nothing wrong with you. Doctors these days diagnose everyone with something. It's a scam." I'd learned to manage my condition despite her, found good doctors, took my medication consistently, went to therapy, and developed coping strategies. I built a successful career in healthcare administration while managing my mental health privately. Very privately, because I worked in the same industry as my mother, and I knew how much stigma still existed around mental health, especially among older generations of medical professionals. I started at Metropolitan Hospital's main competitor, Riverside Medical Center, 8 years ago. Entry-level position in the Quality Improvement Department. Worked my way up through various administrative roles. Became Director of Operations at 30. Vice President of Strategic Planning at 32. Last year, I was recruited by the Board Search Committee for St. Catherine's Regional Hospital. They were looking for a new board director, someone with operational experience, strategic vision, and a track record of improving hospital systems. The interview process took 4 months, multiple rounds with the search committee, presentations to the current board, background checks, reference calls. They reviewed every aspect of my career, my credentials, and my leadership philosophy. I disclosed my anxiety disorder during the final interview. Full transparency. I explained my diagnosis, my management approach, and my years of successful work while treating the condition. The board chair had nodded thoughtfully. "We appreciate your honesty. Mental health conditions are medical conditions. As long as they're properly managed, which yours clearly is, they're not a concern for us. Your track record speaks for itself." They offered me the position 2 weeks later, board director of St. Catherine's Regional Hospital, one of the largest healthcare systems in the state. 1,800 employees, 400 beds, a $200 million annual budget. I would oversee hospital governance, approve major expenditures, evaluate executive performance, and make strategic decisions about the hospital's future, including decisions about department budgets, staffing levels, and program funding. I accepted the position. The announcement would be made public the following month after final contract negotiations and transition planning. I didn't tell my family. I hadn't spoken to them in months anyway, not since the medication incident. 3 weeks ago, the announcement went out. Press release to local media, notifications to all hospital staff, update on the hospital website. St. Catherine's Regional Hospital names Jessica Morrison as new board director. Morrison brings extensive healthcare administration experience and a proven track record of operational excellence. My phone started ringing that evening, my mother's number. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Jessica, it's Mom. I saw the announcement. We need to talk. Call me back. She called again the next morning, and that afternoon, and the evening after that. I didn't respond. What I hadn't realized until after accepting the position was that Street Catharines had recently acquired 3 smaller hospitals in the region, creating an integrated health system. One of those acquisitions, completed just 2 months ago, was Metropolitan Hospital. My mother's hospital, where she'd worked for 23 years as a nurse in the cardiac unit. Metropolitan was now part of Street Catharines' system, which meant it was under the governance of Street Catharines' board, my board. The acquisition had been rocky. Metropolitan had been struggling financially for years, which was why they'd agreed to be acquired. Street Catharines' board, my board, had approved the purchase with the understanding that significant restructuring would be necessary. I learned all this during my first week in the position, sat through briefings on the Metropolitan integration, reviewed financial reports, and studied operational assessments. The cardiac unit was flagged as a particular concern: overstaffed for the patient volume, outdated equipment, high cost per patient. The integration team recommended restructuring, reduce nursing staff by 30%, reallocate resources to more profitable departments. My first board meeting was scheduled for next week. The Metropolitan restructuring would be on the agenda. My mother's calls continued. 5, 6 times a day. Voicemails becoming increasingly urgent. Jessica, please call me back. I know you're busy, but this is important. We really need to talk. It's about work. I need your help. Jessica, please. People are saying there might be layoffs. I need to know what's happening. I listened to each message, deleted them without responding. 2 weeks into my position, I attended a system-wide leadership meeting. Department heads from all hospitals in the network, including Metropolitan. I sat at the head table as board director, next to the CEO and chief medical officer. My mother was in the room. She saw me at the head table. Her face went white. After the meeting, she approached me. Jessica, I didn't know you were. I knew you got the board position, but I didn't realize. Didn't realize Street Catharines acquired Metropolitan? I said evenly. It was announced 2 months ago. I didn't connect that your role would include. She stopped, regrouping. Can we talk privately? I'm scheduled for meetings all afternoon. Was there something specific? There are rumors about layoffs in our department, the cardiac unit. People are scared. I've been there 23 years, and I need to know if my position is secure. I kept my expression neutral. Any staffing decisions will be made by hospital administration in consultation with the board. If there are changes, affected employees will be notified through proper channels. But you're on the board. You can influence these decisions. You can help protect our department. I can ensure that decisions are made based on sound operational and financial analysis. That's my responsibility. Jessica, I'm your mother. You can't just. Ms. Morrison, I corrected. In this context, in this building, I'm Ms. Morrison, and I need to get to my next meeting. I walked away. I heard her call after me but didn't turn around. That evening, she called 8 times. I blocked her number. The next week, the board meeting arrived. Full agenda, financial reports, quality metrics, and strategic planning updates. And the Metropolitan integration recommendations. The chief financial officer presented the analysis. The cardiac unit is operating at a significant loss. We're recommending a 30% reduction in nursing staff, reallocation of resources to the emergency department and surgical services, and upgraded equipment purchases focused on higher revenue procedures. The board members asked questions, reviewed the data, and discussed alternatives. I listened carefully, reading through every page of the analysis. The numbers were clear. Metropolitan's cardiac unit was indeed overstaffed for its patient volume. Other hospitals in our system had similar units running more efficiently with fewer nurses. But I also saw something else in the data. The patient satisfaction scores for Metropolitan's cardiac unit were the highest in the system. The readmission rates were the lowest. The quality metrics were excellent. I have a question about this recommendation, I said. If we reduce nursing staff by 30%, what's the projected impact on patient outcomes? The CFO hesitated. We've maintained minimum required staffing ratios. That's not what I asked. What's the projected impact on patient satisfaction, readmission rates, and quality metrics? There may be some decline initially, but we'd expect those to stabilize once the remaining staff adjusts. The data shows that Metropolitan's cardiac unit currently exceeds quality benchmarks significantly. They're outperforming larger, more expensive units in terms of patient outcomes. Is that correct? He checked his notes. Yes, that's accurate. Then why are we treating this as a cost-cutting opportunity rather than a model to replicate? If they're achieving better outcomes with their current approach, shouldn't we be studying what they're doing right instead of dismantling it? The room went quiet. Other board members looked at the data more closely. That's an interesting perspective, the board chair said. The quality metrics are indeed impressive. I continued, I'm proposing we table this recommendation for 90 days. During that time, I want a full operational study of why Metropolitan's cardiac unit is outperforming benchmarks. If it's because of their staffing model, we should be expanding it, not cutting it. If it's despite their staffing model, then we can make informed cuts. But cutting first and hoping for the best seems backwards. The board discussed it and ultimately voted to approve my proposal. The restructuring was tabled for 90 days pending additional analysis. After the meeting, the CEO approached me. That was a good catch. We were focused so heavily on costs that we missed the quality story. It's why we review these things as a board, I said. Multiple perspectives. I didn't tell him that I had spent 3 nights reading every page of that analysis, specifically because I knew my mother worked in that unit. I needed to be certain of my position before the meeting. I needed to ensure that whatever decision I supported was genuinely best for the hospital, not influenced by personal feelings. The data supported keeping the staffing levels. That made it easier. But I had already decided that if the data had supported cuts, I would have voted for cuts. My responsibility was to the hospital and its patients, not to my mother's job security. That evening, I received an email from my mother. She had figured out how to reach me through my work address. Jessica, I heard the board table the restructuring decision. People are saying you spoke up about our department. Thank you. I know we haven't been close lately, but family is family. Maybe we can have dinner and talk? I want to explain about the medication thing. I was wrong. I should have listened to you. Can we move past this? I read the email twice, then wrote a response. Ms. Morrison, your email was forwarded to me as it pertains to board business. I want to be clear. The board's decision to delay restructuring was based solely on operational and quality data. Patient outcomes in your department exceed system benchmarks, which warranted further study before making staffing changes. This decision was not personal, and it should not be interpreted as such. Regarding our personal relationship, you didn't just dismiss my mental health condition. You destroyed prescribed medication that I need to function safely. You did this despite being a medical professional who understands medication management and withdrawal risks. You endangered my health because you decided my diagnosed condition wasn't real. I have worked very hard to build my career while managing my mental health condition. I have succeeded because I found doctors who took me seriously, medication that works, and support systems that believed me. None of that included you. You want to move past this now that it's convenient for you, now that I'm in a position that affects your job. That's not how this works. Your employment status will be determined by hospital administration based on performance, operational needs, and budget considerations. Just like every other employee, you will receive no special consideration because of our relationship. You will also face no discrimination because of our relationship. You will be treated exactly like every other nurse in the system. If you need support managing workplace stress during this uncertain time, I recommend speaking with your Employee Assistance Program. They offer counseling services for staff. Mental health support can be very helpful during difficult periods. I know this from personal experience. Do not contact me again outside of official hospital business channels. Best regards, Jessica Morrison, Board Director, St. Catherine's Regional Hospital System. I sent the email and blocked her work address. The 90-day study was completed last week. It confirmed what I suspected. Metropolitan's cardiac unit achieved superior outcomes because of their staffing model, not despite it. The experienced nursing team, consistent patient ratios, and collaborative culture created better care. The board voted to maintain current staffing levels and actually allocated additional funds to replicate the model in 2 other system hospitals. My mother's job is secure. Her department is now being studied as a best practice example. She'll keep her position because she's good at her job, because her department delivers excellent patient care, not because I intervened for personal reasons. I still haven't responded to any of her calls or messages. Don't plan to. Last month, I started a foundation grant program through the hospital system. Mental health support services for employees and their families, including free counseling, medication management assistance, and stigma reduction training for all staff. The board approved it unanimously. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's building something better than what tried to break you. It's proving that the thing they said was all in your head was real enough to require medication, treatment, and ongoing management, real enough that you succeeded anyway. My anxiety disorder is still there. I still take my medication. I still see my therapist. I still have difficult days, but I manage it, and I built a career that includes oversight of the hospital where my mother works. She wanted me to stop being dramatic. I stopped being her daughter instead. Turns out one of those was actually possible.